Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. I am Lucas, and welcome to another episode of Amps in the Axe-FX3. Today we are going to be checking out the Marshall 1987X Plexi Reissue. So this amp is actually reissued from way back in the 60s, and it's a reissue of the classic 50 watt Plexi Marshall head. Now the Plexi's name came from the plexiglass plate that it used to have on its front, and the 1987 does not refer to the year, it refers to the actual circuit name that Marshall gave it, and which it's kind of weird that they're naming their amps by the circuit names. I mean, I guess it's okay, I just kind of would like a little bit more originality. Anyway, it's pretty much very similar to the 100 watt one, and this is the 100 watt one, the 1959, and this is the 50 watt reissue. They're sort of cousin amps, if you will. The main difference is that in the 50, it doesn't have the .68 UF cap in the last triode, so the 87 is going to have a little bit smoother distortion. The 50 doesn't have as much headroom as the 100, so it tends to be a little bit more compressed than what you would find on the 100 watt, and it's uses EL 34 tubes, just like a plethora of other Marshall amps use, and you can also jump it. So that's what the intro sound that you heard. This is the jump setting. That's whenever you take the second input of channel 1 goes into the first input of channel 2, and it lets you use both channels. That's why you have the treble drive and the normal drive on the jump setting whenever you use it there. And the master volume is cranked because the Plexi itself actually didn't have a master volume, so that's why it's cranked by default on here. IR wise, I'm using Leon Todd's WGS Mix 1. This is an IR of a Marshall cap he has with some warehouse guitar speakers in it. I believe it's a greenback and V30 versions that amp speakers that they make, and they sound really good, so that's why I'm using it. I'll put a link up at the bottom and the top, so that way you can check it out, and you can actually get these IRs for free. Now, moving right along, the way I set up all three of the settings in here, we have jump, we have normal, and we have treble, is I set it up the way you would dial in like a real Plexi, or most people do. I put the bass like at 0 because I find the 87 it's really bassy compared to the 1959, and put the mids all the way up and treble all the way up, and I got a little bit of presence in there. And I didn't mess with any of the speaker or any of the EQs in here. What you're hearing is just me dialing it in on the authentic tab. And as you heard, I really like the jump setting. I think it sounds pretty cool. I find the jump setting on the 87 isn't as aggressive as it is on the 59. Let's see what it sounds like with a little clone style drive. I'm using the Fed Boost drive right here, and now you see drives at 2, tones at 7.5, and the level and mix is at 10 and 100. Sounds pretty decent whenever you kick a drive in, and this is what it sounds like without the drive. Kind of cuts a little bit of the bass and gives it a little bit more balls, if you will. So let's move on to the normal input. So the normal input by default is going to be a lot more bassy and a lot darker. But there's a couple of things you can do to remedy that. I'm going to put my guitar right here. This is a G&L Strat with DiMarzio noiseless pickups, so what you heard was the neck. I'm going to kick it over to the bridge, which is a little brighter, and it helps clean things up a little bit. And let's click on the drive again. Same exact setting as before. setting definitely benefits from a drive. It sounds a whole lot better in my opinion. Moving right along to the next input, we're going to be looking at the treble input. So this one is going to be very bright. With the thing that some people do to counter the brightness is they'll clip the bright cap. They do that in the 100, but it's actually off on here. So let's experiment with it. Let's okay, so this is what it sounds like when it's off. And once again is on the bridge. Let's move on over to the neck. Pick up. Let's turn the bright switch on. It's probably gonna sound like crap. Yeah, it's better with it off. I just kind of wanted to go over the clipping of the bright cap thing, because that's what a lot of people did on the 100 watts. And once again, I didn't touch anything. IR is still exactly the same as it was on all the other ones. Didn't mess with any of the EQs, and this is what the treble one sounds like. I actually like the treble channel a lot on here. I think I may like it a little bit more than I like the jump channel. This Plexi is a different animal to me than what the 100 watt is. It has a little bit different flavors when you're bouncing in through the different inputs. This one's said to be a little bit more aggressive than the 60s Plexis. Let's try it out with a drive, same exact settings as before on the drive. Yeah, kicking on the drive, it brings some brightness in there. Probably can jack down the tone knob a little bit. That was too much. That sounds pretty decent right about there. So, guys, that's actually going to wrap things up on the 1987 Marshall Plexi reissues. Let me know what you think about this amp in the comments down below. Let me know some of the tricks you use to dial this amp in. I just tried to dial it in kind of how most people dial in a Plexi. This one's very interesting because it's very neat to see that even though the 59 and the 87 are related, that this one's a little bit different. So let me know in the comments down below. And as for me, I'm gonna have to be out. Peace.